The Salt Dip Podcast, taking life, business, and adventure with just a pinch of salt. Hello, and welcome back to the next episode of the Salt Dip Podcast. I was having to think about what to discuss for this one. And the one thing that really then stood out to me was I feel like I need to talk about this time of the year and getting into the water. And there's a couple of really funny things about it from my perspective. Number one, I think even in the middle of summer, if I go and put my feet into the water and it feels cold, I'm not necessarily, amped to get in or might even squeal a little bit like a little girl. But the minute there's a surfboard in my hand, that all seems to disappear, and I can always sort of go brave it and get into the water. And granted, that comes with a wetsuit, which maybe other situations don't, but it's amazing how having different equipment with you can affect how you are thinking about a space. So that's the first one. It's just like I can be such a different person when it comes to cold water, just depending on what that intention is with connecting with the water itself, actually. And even though we get into the water, and I'm just thinking 2 weekends ago, we were surfing at Muizenberg and it was freezing and we caught a lot of really nice waves and things like that. By the time I got out the water, I couldn't feel my feet, and it took a little while for them to thaw and all of that. What I hadn't realized was the amount of skin, like sort of, somehow grazed the back of my ankle. I had a bruise on the top of my foot as well. So while not being able to feel my feet, they were definitely hitting some trouble there on the ocean bed. I mean, that makes it sound like we're out so deep, but there, on the shoreline in the water, whether it's a rock or a piece of coral or something. So, and I mean, how appealing does that sound, right? I've just described something that most people would want to avoid for as long as absolutely possible. But surfing in the winter is an amazing experience, I think, in Cape Town. First things first, because it's cold, there are far less people in the water, which means you can catch more waves. It doesn't feel crowded. You don't end up feeling like you're in somebody's way. I think it's actually a really good time of year to learn if it's something that you would like to try, just because there are less people in the water. So it is a bit of a suck it up, buttercup, and just do it. But at the same time, I also find that cold water so refreshing and just cleansing in a way. And I think it just helps your mental space and all of these things that go with it. So lovely to be able to spend some time in the water under those conditions. There's also here, in Cape Town, there's less wind in winter. I mean, you wouldn't believe it today with the gale force that's pumping outside, but we do have these beautiful, lovely winter sunny days, and the impact on that on the waves means that there's more days where the waves are just absolutely stunning and that you would want to go and surf them rather than them being blown out and getting messy very quickly. And wind's not always a bad thing for surfing. It just depends on how it hits the wave. Sometimes it can actually keep the face open a little bit, as you're catching a good wave. So the wind's not always bad, but less wind definitely means more opportunities to be able to go and connect with nature as well. The one downside of it, so better waves, so we've got better waves, less people in the water, more opportunity to learn, is the daylight hours. I mean, that one to me is so frustrating. To me, it seems bizarre now that in December, we were at the beach at 6 o'clock and getting into the water and feeling quite happy to do that. Now, I have absolutely no desire to be a shark bait, and before dawn or dusk, I'm just not getting in the water. It's just an increased risk that I'm not willing to take, And also, I think you feel less secure when things are a bit darker. So yeah, these darker hours, longer darker hours in the winter that we get are off-putting from that point of view, because it actually cuts off a whole load of time that you could actually get into the water. And with the sun rising at like 7:30, work kind of starts at 8. So if you want to be in tune with that and getting things done, you've got to kind of just make it work in itself. Yeah, so I think the 3 winters that I've been surfing now, I find that there's been wonderful opportunities to learn. And I think I get a lot more out of the winter surfing than I do in summer. And it's amazing how there's other spaces where that comes into play as well. Like I can be really good with my fitness in winter, actually. It's almost because for me, and just being an almost off the charts extrovert, there's too much to entertain me in summer. There's too many options. There's parties, there's people to see, everyone's doing something, you get invites. We in Cape Town, at least in winter, a lot less of that is happening, as we do have a bit of a hibernating mindset, which is absolutely perfect, and probably why it also creates more opportunities to go and get into the water. Yeah, so comment, drop a comment down below. I'm going to keep this as a nice short podcast today, just touching base and having thought about it. But what do you do to keep your body moving throughout the winter period? Are you willing to face the dark and get up early or go out later in the evening? Yeah, what is it that is filling your boat at the moment in winter? I find, especially because it is dark a lot more of the time, mental health is something we need to just be aware of, and of course, exercise helps you get that kick to get you out of any of those ruts. And it will just also gives you all the happy feelings that we need to actually function well as human beings. All right. So our next interview, which is coming up, is with Janine Corrie. She is from 24.7 Travel Studio. And we had a lovely conversation with her about travel, her experience in business, which we'll be sharing with you at the end of this month. So stay tuned and don't miss out on that interview. In the meantime, stay salty.